Ready when you are.
Okay, everybody's in. Okay, I will call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Director Sewell.
Here.
Director Martin.
Here.
Director Grasha.
Here.
Vice President Duncan.
Here.
And President Wright.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pinckney, would you read us the rules of procedure for the meeting?
Yes, I'd be happy to. As you know, the Board of Directors adopted rules of procedure for the conduct of these meetings, and so I'm going to touch on some of the rules that will apply to today's meeting. All notice meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for maintenance and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. All questions and remarks should be addressed to the president as the presiding officer. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a meeting. In order to ensure the orderly progress of board meetings, the board president regulates the amount of time to be dedicated to a particular agenda item.
Thank you. Do we have anybody online for public input?
Amanda is in a breakout room right now checking to see, but I did not have anybody reach out to me prior to the start of this meeting.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody's still logging in.
Okay, I'll wait a few moments see if we have any public that would like to speak. Well, while we're waiting, I'll just real quickly go through the next item, which is the employee recognition. Look at all those years. A lot of people were hired in this month of November. A lot of 1 years, and look at that. Jeff Nutter, 26 years. His 26 years adds up to all of the other ones combined. Congratulations to all of them.
Many good employees there, I'll tell you.
Amanda, let us know when you're done. Or Dory, let me know when Amanda's done.
I will for sure. They're still in the breakout room.
Okay, I'll just keep going. I don't want to start on those other ones yet, but.
We don't have any significant
No.
5, 10, or 15, or 20, or 25, I guess in Jeff's case it would be.
Yeah, he got his 25 last year, but we've got all in the same month was April, Andy, Dory, and then all of the 1 year ones. Look at all those. Finally filled in your staff there, Martin.
Yeah, it's a popular time of year to hire people. No, I didn't. You never know what. When that happens. It just happens when it happens.
No, but I think you were filling in empty spots there too.
Yes, yeah. Well, catching up and getting many things ready to go. Going well though. That's the nice thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I just heard from Amanda, nobody is requesting to speak, so we can move on.
Thank you. Thank you. So we already did number 1, employee recognition. So we'll go to item number 2, which is the resolution 2020-19, recommending approval of notice of exemption determination under the California Environmental Quality Act for the Terrace Reservoir Rehabilitation and Site Improvement Projects. And we'll turn this over to the general manager.
Okay, thank you. And I'll have Danny give you some of the specifics. We do rehabilitation on all of our tanks, and every time we do, in the spirit of great transparency, or trying to be, we, turn this over to our consultant, and we evaluate whether this needs to have a more significant CEQA review. And in these cases where we're just doing rehabilitation, this work typically does not require a full CEQA review of any kind, or even moderate one. So basically, we're looking for you to determine that this is a notice of exemption. I'll let Mr. Friend make some additional comments on this to let you know exactly what we are doing with these tanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board. Just so you know, I have all of the 7 action items today, so I'll be speaking the entire time. I have some long-winded items, and just for background and history, so hopefully I don't bore you. On this particular item, I just wanted to do a little bit of background. The Terrace Reservoir Rehabs Project is part of the district's capital improvement program.
Are you still there?
Looks like we might have to call back in.
Yeah, I'm gonna send a message to Dory real quick.
I think I'm gonna hang up and call back in. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll talk to you later.
Upgrades as required. If we were to build a reservoir in this today, we may not build it in that location just because of the proximity to the homes. So for staff to look at that, and to look at not only for being able to secure water or keep water, or just what would happen in the surrounding areas. So we're looking at seismic, we're looking at ladders, we're looking at target repairs, in addition to the interior and exterior coatings. So that's just a background. It's been some time since we actually talked about this project when it was approved for the capital budget. And as Arden said, all we're doing today is the formality of our CEQA. The project has been determined to qualify under category exemption class 1. And what that means is determined not to have a significant effect on the environment, which is exempt from provisions of CEQA. Specifically, section 15301, which refers to existing facilities. Category exemption class 1, the operation, repair, maintenance, permitting, leasing, licensing, or minor alteration of existing public or private structures, facilities, and mechanical equipment, including topographical features. This project includes that. We are trying to also do some site features to address oncoming storm drain and the continuous damage that it causes on our slope protection. Continuing, the facilities, both investor or publicly owned utilities, to provide electric power, natural gas, sewage, or other public utility services. So that's what it qualifies under this exemption. So the exceptions to this category exemption have been evaluated, and implementation of the Terrace Reservoir Site project has been determined not to cause a significant adverse environmental effects. So that's all I have for this item. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have.
Okay, thank you. Director Martin, do you have any questions?
No.
Director Grasha?
Muted.
You're muted. Oh, okay.
I wondered how many services are served by this system of reservoirs. There's 3 of them there, and I wondered if those are used to supply the reservoirs that are higher up in elevation, or are all the services below that in their elevation? In other words, are you pumping water up to houses, or are you pumping up to the tanks up above from that reservoir, or are they all separate? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question. The honest answer is I can't give you that answer as of this meeting, but I'll do my best to get that for you by Monday. There are some challenges that play into exactly that answer. You're correct in what you're suspecting. The reservoirs all feed the 1240 zone below. We pump to a high elevation, we gravity feed to take advantage of the power savings. So
Right.
those are the homes in the 1240 zone. Because it gets complicated from there, we also reduce some of that pressure to feed lower zones so that we have redundancy. The other part of your question, do we pump into other areas? We do. We have a booster station at the terrace reservoirs, and 4 of them pump up to the 1530 high Northridge zone, and 2 pump to the 1400 high Desert View zone. So to say that I've done that calculation, I couldn't tell you that right now. I would have to look at that. So it does feed multiple zones. Its primary source is the 1240.
And
I
how,
mean, unless we did a fairly extensive study, Director Gracia, I don't know if we can give you an exact number. Because they both, some of them team up to serve some of the lower areas, and when we boost, that we have some of the area that's actually served by the tanks in that area by gravity flow. So, okay, sorry.
So if I may add, what some of the upgrades that we're doing to our GIS system is to incorporate our pressure zones, and that would be an extensive study currently. But once that element is added to our GIS, it's a query at the just as far as punching in that query and trying to find out, and we can break it down by pressure zone.
and that's obviously the largest set of reservoirs that we have. I'm guessing the one out off of 62 is pretty impressive, but there's only one of them. You say that's 6 million gallons?
Yes, there's 3 2-million-gallon reservoirs there.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Director Sewell, you have any questions?
No.
Vice President Duncan? Question, oh, he's not even there. AOL. Okay, then I guess we'll move on. I guess he doesn't have any questions. So we'll go to number 3, Resolution 2020-20, recommending approval of a notice of exemption determining under the California Environmental Quality Act for the Desert Willows Waterline Replacement Project. General Manager.
Yeah, well, I'll let Danny, give you some of the details, but this is a system that we inherited, and like so many times that we do this, their system is not up to our standards, and this one, of course, was the same. So we've made some changes to give us some temporary accommodations so that the system won't fail. And in fact, if you recall, there probably 5, 7 years ago, we had a number of failures caused by this system. So we need, we've always considered, upgrading it, and so that we can, be sure that we don't have any more leaks. But finally, we got the project going. But this is a waterline project that really usually falls under the category of an exemption. So, Danny, you want to take it from here?
Certainly. Thank you, Arden. Adding to what Arden said, I want to provide, again, like I did last time, some of the details of the project rather than just the NOE process that we're doing today, because I believe in January we'll be bringing this project to the board for award of contract for construction. So, as the staff report indicates, this is a project to replace 7,600 linear feet of water line. It's not necessarily just entirely inside the Desert Willows Mobile Home Park. It's off-site water and also into Pearson Boulevard, where it makes its connection. It includes fire hydrants and services to that facility. So there is, I guess, adding to what Arden would, the purpose is to eliminate water line breaks due to aging facilities. To enhance fire flow, is a big plus there, and ensure adequate delivery of potable water services to the residents. The existing pipe has experienced several failures over the past several years, causing damage and water loss and high cost of repairs.
Did we lose him? He's frozen?
Are you there,
He
Danny?
appears to be frozen.
He appears to be frozen.
or
Unfree.
shocked. I'm not quite sure which one.
Oh my God, it was.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
I'm going to do something. This half of the building is all in-house, and I'm going to turn my video off as I've done, and we're probably taxing the system. Let me dial in on my phone, please. I apologize for
We
this.
can hear you really good if you just
Can
want
you?
to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll maintain. I'll turn my video off. So part of what the staff report says, and also the CEQA documents, is it may include repaving of local streets. So naturally, we're required to pave over our trenches of said pipeline repair. The HOA has reached out to us to see if we can partner. Over the years, the streets have been damaged and repaired, but they want to see if they could at least cost share in paving the entire project. The cost share of doing the entire project, which paving we wouldn't normally do, but if we do move forward with that and it is enticing to the HOA, we would enter into an MOU for reimbursement. And it does, the economies of scale will play in our favor, and the cost to replace our portion of the trench would actually be close to, I believe, $45,000 less than it would normally cost. So at this point in time, that has not been determined. That's why we're not bringing it to the board. We have received bids. We are evaluating those, and we're in discussions with the HOA board to see if there's going to be any decision to move forward with that. As I said, I'll be bringing that back to you in January, very likely. A little bit behind this exemption, as I explained in the last one, this qualifies for a category exemption, class 2, which is the replacement and reconstruction of existing facilities. The replacement and reconstruction of existing structures and facilities where a new structure will be located on the same site as the structure being replaced and will have substantially the same purpose and capacity as the structure replaced, including but not limited to replacement and reconstruction of existing utility systems. Involving negligible or no expansion to capacity is why this qualifies for a category exemption class 2. I'll be happy to answer any additional questions if you have any.
Okay, Vice President Duncan, do you have any questions? Director Martin? Director Sewell? Director Grasha?
A question. Yes, a couple of questions. You mentioned that you would be bringing this to the board for approval. I didn't catch, is that something that's going to be in the near future, or is this something way down the line that might give us time to ask questions that I have some questions now that I'd like to ask, but you mentioned something about that, and I just wondered what your timeline on putting this out to contract is. First question.
The answer to that, Director Grasha, is we have advertised the project, open bids, and have announced an apparent low bidder. We are qualifying those bids currently. And because this has an element, as I mentioned, that we may partner in a cost share for the full pavement, we are in the process of contacting the HOA so that we can determine we're going to go down that road. As far as the timing, the near future would be as late as January. Our contract documents allow us to have 90 days to award after the bid opening, and that it would take us to the January 2021 board meeting.
Okay. And this project, although I just taking a look at the construction, it looks like it's a rather new development. When did the pipe that we're going to be replacing go into the ground? And it sounds like there was a failure of what was put in the ground. And if that's the case, are we subsidizing this project with a pile of money sooner than we should? It seems like some of those homes aren't, well, I guess just when did that pipe go into the ground that we're going to pull out?
Can you guys all still hear me? I
can
saw
hear
that. Okay, so as Arden talked about when he opened this item up, we, in a sense, inherited this this area or this pipeline. We talked about Jeff Nutter being here 26 years. Before Jeff was here, we've had this system. So I don't know that answer.
Okay.
Those employees, my predecessors, are no longer here. We tried to get some information before they left, and we also didn't have that information. So
Well,
I can tell you at this point in time, I understand it to be at least 30 years old.
okay. And what size are the mains? We're going to be putting 8-inch mains in. What size are those that are in the ground now? And yeah.
They're currently 8-inch. It's a plastic material that doesn't meet an AWWA standard today for water line. It's a iron pipe size plastic. The issue that's happening with that is when it breaks, it breaks down the seam, and it is a large break. It's not something that just surfaces. It's a huge break, and that's what we've been dealing with. So I don't have those answers for you as when we inherited the actual project. As far as the subsidizing, I'm not sure if you could actually.
Well, I was probably a poor choice of words. Mainly, I was concerned that the homes there look like they're not but 10 years old, at least what I could see from Google Maps. And that was a concern. But if it's a 30-year-old system, I can see that they've probably been paying their dues long enough that, although maybe they haven't, because it looks like a lot of new construction went in recently. And anyway.
I'll continue to look for additional information and work with accounting and engineering, but I don't know if it's going to turn up anything. I'll look further and see what I can bring up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so,
yeah.
okay,
Just
go ahead.
real quick on the pavement part of the process. We just want to be careful not to get too far. You know, we're probably putting in a system way before it should have been replaced, so they're getting a pretty good upgrade. We don't want to treat anybody better in one neighborhood than we would in any other neighborhood just because they might be friendly to the water district.
We've never done that before. Why start now?
Yeah, I know, but
no, I can't answer that. This is purely to maintain our system. We've drugged this along looking for grant monies. Unfortunately, there aren't any that would apply to this project. We've assessed this area as being the next area for pipeline replacement.
okay.
We've
Thank you.
been talking about it for years. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to number 4. If I don't see anybody else want any more questions. Everybody okay? Okay, no, number 4, acceptance of the construction of well 27 and 31 dry wells project. Arden, you're muted. You're muted.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
You
Oh,
sound
okay.
like a commercial. You hear me now?
Oh, no, okay. This is a process we go through every time we complete a project. We've done the work on the dry wells, and Danny can get into the details of that, or I could too. But basically, what we're going to do, what we're asking you to do, is accept the project and then release the retention. And then this certifies and authorizes that release. And I'll let Danny explain the detail. I feel guilty when I impinge on Danny's presentation. He can let you know if you want to know what a dry well does. I can tell you, or Danny can tell you. So Danny, why don't you elaborate on that?
Please continue, sir. Thank you, Arden. This project was brought to the board for award of construction. Well 27 and 31 dry wells project consists of installation of dry wells, and the HDPE on the staff report stands for high density polyethylene. It's the corrugated black pipe that you may see in many instances for storm drain. And Both wells discharge when they start and when they turn off as part of a state health requirement. And they currently go into a pond. That pond has caused us years of maintenance and currently gets overgrown quite quickly, and we were just concerned about any type of habitat that may be established or in the future. The bigger thing is the district standard back when we built well 35 or designed 35 and built 37 is to discharge our water into dry wells. They're cylindrical, 6-foot diameter, typically as deep as 30, 40 feet. And that water is to discharge into these dry wells where they do not hit the surface. They, during normal operating turn on and turn offs, at least 2 a day, they will contain all water underground in the dry wells. A series of dry wells, when one does fill, it goes on to the next and goes on to the next. If we do have to run the systems or either one of these systems for long periods of time for, say, special testing, it does, in fact, still connect to an outlet piping in our current pond. So they do work great. We've been able to also implement a newer technology duct bill for the air gap that the state health department has been asking for and all agencies to consider. And that's the main purpose of the project. What we're doing today is actually acceptance of that project. It's a formality on public works projects. And part of that is to record a notice of completion that we're asking the board to consider to have signed and filed, so that we can go through the other normal contract process formality of releasing the retention. This project had 5% retention retained, and during that time, the 35 days is which normally gives any subcontractor or anybody that has provided material the opportunity to contact us and ensure that they've been all paid out. So it's, again, standard formality for these projects. That's all I have. Answer it.
I mean, I might add one thing. I mean, the reason every time we, like Danny said, we turn this well on, we don't want it, that water sits there where, and the standard of the industry is that we discharge that initial flow back into the ground where it was to begin with. And in this case, that's what we're doing. I didn't know if that was mentioned. I know Danny said we do discharge there when we start up, but the purpose of that is so we don't get that residue in the system.
If there were a residue, it does.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Director Martin, do you have any questions?
No.
Director Gracia? Director Sewell? Vice President Duncan? Okay, we'll go on to item number 5. Contract agreement with Foreshock for upgrades and enhancements to the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition, SCADA, system for water and wastewater.
Okay, well, I'm going to just begin by maybe introducing this with some explanation. You know, the use of technology is essential, and it reduces our risk and also reduces our cost associated with our operations. This is a very unforgiving business, and technology is helping us so that we don't make mistakes, and it's no different. We need to be very careful what we recommend and what we choose. But once we lock into, and we are very conservative and take the time we need to recommend something that we trust, but you have to understand that once we lock into a particular software or integrator that we have, and Danny can explain that, then we really need to stick with that particular technology. We can't just change it as we put different components on. So as we add to this SCADA system, which for you that might not know, it means Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. And our current software needs to be upgraded. The current we're experiencing failures that we need to prevent, and you know, could result in something more major. So far, they haven't been that major, but they also have cost us more money because we have to respond to these failures. So I'll let Danny explained this, you know, we use a software integrator, which is part of our efforts to use the private sector whenever we think we can be more efficient doing so. So Danny, you want to take it from there?
Certainly. Again, Arden, thank you for that intro. We've said the word SCADA. You heard Arden talk about it, the big supervisory control and data acquisition. And some people say it's there to make our staff lazy, and it's absolutely opposite. Start off and talk about our SCADA system, get into what we're currently use and why we use it, and talk about why we're needing to do the upgrade and what all is entailed in this particular item today. Give me just a moment. I'm working with multiple screens trying to get to my staff report items. And I apologize. I'd love to turn my video on, but I'm afraid the streaming may take anything away from my delivery. So with that, MSW SCADA system provides accurate and real-time data to our operators for data collection, process and system control, security for the district's reservoirs, wells, and boosters. What's that mean exactly? It's more than the ability for our staff to monitor the water system. I'd say the water system because the entire water system currently is under SCADA, and only a small part of our Horton plant is currently utilizing SCADA. And this also is going to be bringing upgrades to that software and hardware as well. I'll get into that shortly. Staff uses SCADA to keep their finger on the pulse, so to speak, on water levels. We receive alarms. We were able to make proactive changes in pumping schedules. We can turn on pumps, turn off pumps. We can monitor meter reads, production reads. We can monitor, in some cases, vibrations, and not everywhere. But this upgrade will allow us to do that at all of our locations. The volume, gallons per minute on booster pumps and wells, we're able to determine a lot of different things. Why wells shut off, if they have a high pressure, low pressure. There's a number of analytics that we are able to monitor. So it's great that we don't have to go out to the site just to look at everything like we used to. We'd make 3 or 4 sites a day, probably more than that back before I was in this industry. And that is time. That is a lot of our district towards IDE. It's almost a 55-minute turnaround just to go out to the site and come back. So you can imagine just in that part what it saves in time. The bigger part is the ability to automate our system, to turn it on during the evening after 5 o'clock, turn it off by when the reservoir is full, taking advantage of the super off-peak energy rates. Those equate annually, and have so for as long as I've been here, several $100,000 a year if we were to not have that automation or the override. So there's a lot of things built into that automation and what it allows us to do. So the cost savings in that part of the cost savings and not having to have a staff that's 5 times the size that we have today just to be able to go to all these sites. The current system is made by Lookout. It's been in place since 2002. We have, in past years, since I've been with the district, done upgrades to software. It's not untypical to see the software upgrades be anywhere from 3 to 5 years, keeping up with current trends and things of that nature. We've done a lot of hardware, whether it be equipment or servers, racks, or the actual PLCs, the programmable logic controls, the radios that we use for communications. Those have been upgraded at various sites throughout various times, various years. So that is what our system is in a nutshell. Currently at the Horton plant, we use it to monitor only. We have no process control. We can look at a camera. We can see whether certain things are on or off or levels, but this upgrade is also going to be enhancing that software as well as adding a lot more process control in addition to the lift station as well as the Desert Crest plant. Currently, there is no more software upgrades. There's no more support for this. Our current system integrator, Foreshock, who we've been working with as Foreshock since 2007, 2008. They were with the prior SCADA integrator before that company dissolved. Our current integrator is the only representative for the Lookout software on the West Coast. So there's been recommendation to upgrade our software so that we don't lose the ability to use that. We've been experiencing over the last 12 months, we've encountered at least 250 plus comm fails. We call them comm fails, it's communication fails. The system communicates from a hub, goes out to a site, and they communicate back. Turn my well on, well turns on. We get information back that it's, just for example, it's on. It's reading back to the reservoir that says, hey, you're feeding me water. When I'm full, I'll tell you when to stop. So those comm fails, you can imagine, because of the software needing to be upgraded, they have like reservoir overflows. The well didn't shut off because of the communication failure. The reservoir overflowed, causing water loss, damage, cleanup. We've experienced complete SCADA system shutdowns. The whole purpose of why we have it so that our staff can remotely operate, causing staff to come in on weekends or after hours during the day. So those are many of the reasons why the system needs to be upgraded as far as software. Many of the things that we want to do at our sites, such as chlorine analyzers to allow us to monitor that element, or to add, as I mentioned earlier, vibration sensors or any type of pressure monitors, we can't do because the existing hardware needs to be upgraded. For the past 4 years, we've looked at 3 different SCADA software options. Some are ideally suited for all in one site. For example, if I was process control on one facility, maybe in one building. Some like the Clear SCADA we're looking at one called GeoSCADA Expert. It was formerly known as Clear SCADA, but I'll use those 2 names as interchangeably. But GeoSCADA is ideally suited for remote systems such as ours. That's what they specialize in. We have, like I said, IDE, or system out towards the Whitewater Cabazon area. A lot of effort has gone into upgrading to date the communication capabilities so that we can get that information here at our office. So I don't necessarily want to geek out on any more of that. I'll answer any questions when I'm on those items if there are more. So we have been looking at it. We did put in for this in last year's budget. I was asked, well, why didn't you act on this sooner? Well, we were continuing our evaluation. But more importantly, the district became part of a demand response program. That demand response essentially means that working with Edison and third parties, they may contact us to turn off facilities that in the area that they need to have power turned off for a prescribed amount of time. We don't have to participate. We can say no, and we can. And there is rebates that come back to the district on a monthly basis. I believe it's quarterly. I may have misspoke on that. As part of being part of the demand response program, it opened up an opportunity of funding for incentives and rebates for automation. For the last year and 4 months, we've been working through that process. COVID slowed that process down completely. Working with Edison and the third party is challenging at times, but COVID really created the major issue. So we've been informed that the improvements that we're asking the board for consideration today will be eligible for up to $146,000 in rebate incentives after we do the installation, and potentially an additional $20,000 on top of that. So as high as $168,000 in rebate incentives. So that's been the main part. We couldn't start the system. We couldn't do the upgrades, purchase and do the hardware and software replacement and upgrades, and then expect to get paid back. So this is what stalled out that process. So I honestly, it's been a tedious process, but I commend staff for sticking with it and actually bringing that opportunity to the district. So I'll take the opportunity now just to talk about what the upgrade is going to do. It is, again, software, hardware upgrades, radios. I mentioned something like PLCs, which are programmable logic controls. It's going to install additional cameras to 26 sites. Most of these controllers were deployed in 2002 with an upgrade to some in 2008. We've experienced many sites, remote sites, that we've had physical intrusion, whether they've cut the gates, they cut the chains. We don't know because we don't have cameras or we don't have some motion sensing equipment that can't be upgraded unless we upgrade some of our hardware until we get back on from a weekend, for example, or we come back in the next day. So it's a lot of the reasons why we're looking at upgrading. Well, in addition to the system failure and the comm fails, those are some of the other reasons why we're looking into these, to help staff with cameras, security. We can see what happens the moment it happens. We can deploy the sheriff or the police department, depending on where this is located. So there's a number of opportunities there. As I mentioned earlier, it'll provide us, we've got the approval of chlorine analyzers, but we can't install those, as we found out, until we upgrade the hardware. So those are many of the drivers that are currently why staff is bringing this to you for consideration. I've got a lot here that that I asked staff to write as notes, but I'll use them to answer the questions if need be. On the water side, as I mentioned, we have, it's far more robust. We have ability to turn on and off our wells and boosters and look at levels and such. Currently at the Horton plant, we have no process control. It's strictly monitoring. The upgrade will add cameras at the cameras at the Horton plant, ability to turn on and off our specialized pumps throughout the different processes in the plant. The security enhancements alone at the Horton plant, currently we're using ADT security. We've had ADT security for many, many years. This process control and upgrade to the Horton plant will allow us to cut our ties with ADT, no longer requiring that system supervisory. The text messages and phone calls, all that will be done through SCADA. That will allow us to eliminate the $5,000 per year that we spend right now with ADT. So there's a recognized $5,000 annually just for that and that item. We've got staff right now currently going out on weekends to handle wasting at our belt press. The new system will add abilities to make adjustments there and remotely view and reset alarms, which is important. Right now, we can view and see that we have one, but we don't know what it is. We have to still go to the site. We have to acknowledge what it is and still reset it. So again, without geeking out, I'll move forward past that, but there's a lot of opportunity that this upgrade provides in hardware and software. And the upgrades at the Desert Crest plant we've got very limited. We can see power failures essentially, or whether a piece of equipment's running or not. And we are going to be able to capture daily influent totals and current influent GPMs of the volume, ability to reset equipment remotely, see what the actual issue is. So there's a gamut of things that this includes. I will stop there. That'll conclude what my update is on this, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that there may be.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Vice President Duncan.
When did we do this last? This sounds real familiar, this whole SCADA update. Has it been just 2 or 3 years? I mean, it seems like a year ago, but could be 2 or 3.
No, it's a great question. Previous upgrade to hardware, the last upgrade and just parts here and there was in 2008. As far as a software upgrade was done in 2013.
13, wow.
Boy, how time flies. You're having fun, Randy.
Yeah, it seemed like we just did. Do we have something else that we're calling SCADA or some kind of engineering machinery or something like that? Or is this only for the water you just described?
Well, no, there is nothing else that's SCADA. That is our SCADA system. You may recall some of the language in our budget preparation, but I was making reference to our current our current hardware that's
Alright.
in the server room was deployed in 2018, and that's what you may recall. That's SCADA hardware. The current system, the previous upgrade that we're in right now, was in 2013. So hardware gets upgraded from time to time, whether it fails or it needs to be upgraded in order to allow us the full functionality and usage of our SCADA system at our sites. And the software is anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Unfortunately, 2013 was the last that they've done, and they were no longer providing support for that. Our current.
Oh. All right, well, it could have been the hardware a couple years ago, but 7 years ago, wow, that went quick. All right, thank you, that's all I have.
Okay, Director Sewell?
More just a comment. Thank you, Danny, for the really in-depth description of everything. As fast as technology kind of gets outdated, it's definitely a needed upgrade, and I'm happy to see the addition of the cameras. I think that'll be really beneficial, and just having a functioning system in case of a disaster, emergency, I think it's definitely something we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Gracia?
Yeah. You were careful to mention this was a software upgrade, but then it sounded like there's going to be some hardware upgrades as well. And I wondered if the hardware upgrades are part of this price. For instance, the cameras are part of this contract. Yes. And also, are there any peripherals like cameras or chlorinators that will that to be able to link to the excuse me, the dosing pumps? Is there anything extra that we're going to have to spend money on that we're not being informed about now? Sorry.
No worries. I just want to make sure you're finished with your question. It's not that I was being careful. I didn't want to misspeak. This is more than just a software upgrade. As I may have added to some confusion, there's been years that we've done hardware, whether it be here in the office or it's out at each site. But this is a hardware and software. The majority of this it's a combination, but the driving force to this is our software is no longer being supported, and we have experiencing complete failures of our SCADA system, and just 250 plus just in the last 12 months, communication fails, comm fails. The camera system, where we don't have cameras for the 26 sites, is more than just a camera. Unfortunately, we can't add a camera to these systems, and the reason why we haven't done so in the past is because we've got to upgrade radios and the programmable logic control, the PLCs. So this award of contract is covering 3 different capital budgets that were approved. It does include hardware. The 2018 comment I referenced earlier with Vice President Duncan was the servers here for the water side here at our building. On the sewer side, it will enhance the servers there. It'll provide backup server so that there is a separate server for the video. There's a server primary and backup for the actual SCADA itself, like we have structured here. That's part of that. All of the I mentioned earlier, chlorine analyzers. Those analyzers analyze our system remotely so that we can make those changes to our pumps, as you were alluding to. We have that technology available at our sites because we budgeted for it. We moved forward with it, but currently our hardware doesn't allow for us to add to. So again, why didn't we do this a year ago when we asked for the money? It's because we've been evaluating we were completing our evaluation of what would be the better software program for the district, but primarily is because we were taking advantage of the InResponse or the demand response program for rebates and incentives. Did I miss? I believe I missed. Oh, you asked if there's going to be added cost. This isn't the end-all be-all to our system, Director Gracia. This is an upgrade to software and a upgrade to hardware. As hardware fails or technology changes, or as advancement in this industry, to ability to remotely or automate certain control or process in our industry, there may be changes. we always, not so much here recently because of COVID, but we always have staff looking at new technologies and better ways to be more efficient and operate. So there may be, naturally, every 3 to 5 years, we're looking probably at another upgrade. It may not be as extensive as this, but that is the norm for this type of product.
Well, let me add to what you're saying, Danny. I mean, this is not only, it is a software upgrade, but it's also additional hardware. But as we put facilities on, like new tanks, like the regional plant, these will all require connection to the SCADA system, and it will have to be consistent, and we will have to consistently use the same software we already have for everything else, so it all integrates and works together. So, yes, we're going to be, this is going to be something we will probably constantly be bringing to you as there is a need to, let's just put it that way. And this way, right now, one reason we want to put this together in as complete a package as we can is, like Danny said, there are rebates available, which are going to help us pay for probably not quite half, but close to half of what this project would cost. So we're taking advantage of that.
Great. Okay, Director Martin, any questions? No. Okay, so we'll go on to, thank you, Danny. We'll go on, maybe not, item 6.
Just actually, before we leave this item, Director Grasha, did I cover all your items? Thank you.
Well, during the presentation, I was under the impression that a lot of things were going to be, problems were going to be solved, and cameras were just one of the things that, and that turns out that they're actually not part of what we're doing here. So now I'm kind of confused. What's the immediate advantage? And I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't stay up with things, but if we were to start over, are there other systems out there that we're not looking at because we already have this system in place? It seems like there's a lot of effort being put into getting this approved, and if it's the best system for the best price, it makes sense to go that way. But what else is out there that we haven't looked at because maybe we didn't want to retrain or something to that effect?
That's a good question, and I apologize if I confused that. This does include cameras, Director Grasha.
Oh.
This does include, as earlier as I was saying, on the hardware side, we haven't added cameras because we were unable to do so without upgrading the hardware at the site.
Okay.
So this is actually adding all that the controls, the PLCs, the radios, upgrading that hardware, and installing cameras, the motion sensing, the nighttime vision that we have at other locations that we don't have anywhere else because of the hardware is so outdated. So trying to, let's see if I can answer the questions in the way they were asked. There are there's Wonderware. Our current integrator represents or works with all of the other SCADA softwares. As I mentioned earlier, we've been analyzing and looking at these other, we thought that because this organization used this type or this brand, that it was good for us. We looked at several different agencies here locally, such as DWA, Joshua Basin Water, High Desert Water, Mojave Water Agency across their entire Morongo Basin pipeline, Victorville. There's more than that, but we've talked and spoken with other organizations that have a system like ours remotely, either they've switched from Lookout, they've gone to this, which was, again, formerly known as Clear SCADA, to GeoSCADA. What we've been doing over the past 3 to 4 years in preparing for this, because, again, one of our system currently is somewhat proprietary. If there is really nobody that can work on it except for our current integrator. One of the items and why we decided to go with the GeoSCADA expert is, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's ideal for our remote sites. It works. the hardware upgrades I made reference to back in 2008 that were put in, and some of the small replacement pieces that we've done over the past years will work with this. So if we were going to look at a ground up, replace everything, on the low side, we've looked at numbers to be as high as $500,000 to do this, just to get us to where we are, in addition to as high as $1 million to where we are. So this is something we've been preparing for. We've been doing our upgrades when they come and when required. However, as I mentioned, there's nothing else supporting this software. So we have looked at it. It's not about not wanting to be retrained. This new software is actually going to cause a required training to our staff. That was one of the reasons why we actually looked at our neighboring agencies and see how they like it, spoke with the operators to ensure that they, do you recommend it? Do you like it? Or would you do something differently? And it's the same answer we received is no. We were able to see it in operation, how it functions. So staff has done a great job of looking at that and making sure that we're making the right choice. I believe what you might be hinting on is Assistant General Manager Wallum and Director of Administration Matt McHugh. We've looked at an IT master plan, and IT master plans is being contemplated. That will evaluate certain items of our SCADA and incorporate. It could be 2 years down the road, and currently our system, we couldn't really endure any longer maintaining for the foreshock to continue to limp our lookout SCADA software any further, based on the time that we've been spending just to babysit it. One of the great things about this, and it's not that we're trying to get rid of foreshock, but it's an open platform, and it's supported, and there's many integrators on the West Coast that actually also work with this. So not that we're looking again to get rid of foreshock, because there's quite a bit of security reasons why we have it as a sole source. But if something were to happen outside, to him, we would our current system would be dead in the water, so to speak.
Can what agencies besides ours use this system in our region?
In our region here in the lower desert water agency, neighboring here in the high desert, Joshua Basin Water, High Desert Water District, Mojave Water. I know they're not neighboring, but Mojave Water District, Victorville. Those are all
all those agencies use the same software.
Mm-hmm.
So if let's say for instance, and somebody came from, or one of our people went to one of their agencies, they would be able to just move right in, and it's this, there's no difference between the two platforms, I guess.
In functionality, you're absolutely correct. In working through the program, you're absolutely correct. Every agency may set their system up a little differently. But yeah, it's.
So when you said it was proprietary, that kind of made me worry that maybe we're the only people that have it, and which would make it difficult, The
current system is. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just think we're going on and on about this subject.
Well, it's $500,000.
I know, but we
And
still have Monday. I got it, but we still have Monday to ask questions, and so I think we're kind of getting off the topic here, or not the topic, excuse me, but what we're actually doing in this number 5. So anyway, so any more questions? Bring them on Monday. No problem.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll go on to item number 6. Contract agreement with B81 Paving Inc. for pavement repairs for water and sewer projects.
All right, Danny, can answer some of this specific questions. This is something that agencies our size, again, we don't have our own paving company, and so we use these. We contract to do our paving, which keeps the cost down, and so we do bid to do this. But what these people do is we go out and repair a leak, okay? And we have, like it says here, probably 200 repairs a year. We have a certain area that we disturb, and what we do is put a cold mix in there, but that is only temporary. And then as these things, in order to get more efficiency out of it, so when, as you know, with paving, it's very expensive to move equipment in. So what they do is they wait every 3 months, and then they come in and follow up on the repairs that we do and replace them and put a permanent patch in. And what we've done here is to get a basic force account bid for that particular work, and B81 Paving was the one, as you can see on the list, was the lowest bidder for that price. And this is something where we can get by doing that. Danny, you want to take it from there and give them some more detail? Are you there, Danny?
Say that concludes my report. I am.
Danny, now you're breaking up now.
Can you guys copy?
You're breaking up a little bit. Did you do something different from a few seconds ago? Now you got yourself muted.
I can't seem to unmute him.
Oh,
I didn't, Danny, no.
But I guess I could continue with this while Danny's trying to get patched in again here.
What's he got? Danny, he's muted on both, yeah.
At any rate, you can see that their bid, and then
Danny, is that you?
are you there, Danny?
He just turned green and his mic is off. I mean, not showing red. Are you there, Danny? Can you hear us? There he goes. He's trying. When he turns green, I think he's trying. We can hear you dialing.
Ring Central Meeting. Enter your meeting ID.
We were just talking about that in my earlier meeting today. Technical difficulties in these kind of meetings, you have to have at least one in every meeting.
I'm afraid I'm going to get into his whole, he loves to explain how we do this.
I know.
And
Well, his mic's off, but we're still not hearing. And his green lights just went on, like he's trying to talk, but.
Hello.
Are you there?
I just dialed in 760-932-0004. Can you copy?
We can hear you now.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure. I turned off my mic after I was turned back on, and I have turned down my phone. There's no feedback. I'm using my phone for audio.
Okay. Well, so far so good.
All right. Thank you. Sorry about that. Arden, thanks for trying to pitch in. Been a interesting technology days. Let me just gather my thoughts. So, Arden, you gave an intro of what we do, and I was going to say that concludes my report, but
well, it is
Arden,
simple.
I can't add anything else to what Arden says. We do about 200 repairs to water mains, water services, valves, blow-offs, air vacs, sewer line work, And just as Arden said, no later than three months or each quarter. It could be every month, but we do an annual contract, secure this so that we can call out. And this did go out to bid. We received 5 bids as shown in the bid summary of the staff report. I believe everybody's looking at. And based on the evaluation of the bids received, we determined that BD1 to be the lowest and responsible bidder and recommend award of contract. This is on the basis of $100,000, not to exceed $100,000. And I believe I've covered everything. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
You know, TriStar you know, we do this every year, and I think TriStar has won this contract.
Yeah, that's a low bid for B81. That's a good bid. Okay, Director Martin, any questions on that one? Director Grasha? No. Director Sewell? Vice President Duncan? Okay, thank you. We will go on to item number 7, award of contract for the construction of the North Indian Canyon Drive Sewer Construction Project.
You've had this in front of you a couple of times, and Danny always has a better memory for this. I can't remember how long ago we did bring this to you when we asked for your permission to move forward with putting together a project. What is happening here is that the Riverside County is widening Indian. And so the preliminary design report that we have for that area calls for a sewer in part of that widening project. And so we wanted to get out before they went in there and did the pavement work, so it doesn't look like, you know, it does on Palm, I guess now, but where, you know, you just get done building a brand new street and completing a pavement project, and then the water or sewer or the electric company comes in and tears up the road. Well, we would have major repairs, or we would have major asphalt work to do if we got in there. So you instructed us to move forward with this, and we did. Now this will save us money, and I'm not going to steal Danny's thunder. I'm going to let him explain that. So Danny, you might want to take it from there.
Thank you, Arden. Am I being heard clearly?
Yes.
Thank you. So let me see what I can add to what Arden included. This has been in front of the board a few different times. It was in front of the board one back in 2018 when we were informed by the County of Riverside that they were moving forward with their North Indian Canyon widening project. Staff, we're knee deep in our regional plant, looking at the I-10 and Indian Sewer project, also known as 8016. As outdated as it is, our current master plan, sewer master plan, as well as the project's preliminary design report for the I-10 and Indian Sewer accounted for this sewer line and the tributary flows going to the regional plant. So as a cost-saving measure, staff proposed to design and install approximately 2,400 linear feet of VCP sewer just south of Dillon to 18th Avenue in an effort to get out in front of the road widening project. The cost savings in asphalt repair really couldn't be nailed down or determined exactly because we've still been unable to get determine what they call the street section. The street section is how thick the asphalt, and the subsection below that is going to be for this project. But of course, a major arterial like that has at least 6 to 8 inches of asphalt. So having not to do that and replace that after, say, the widening project, you know, went ahead of us, and then we came back and did that, there is a huge cost savings experience there. And then, as Arden alluded to, the potential for political fallout, the brand new road, and here along comes the Mission Springs Water District and tears it up. So those are some of the drivers. So in 18, we brought this to you for a budget, and actually May of 2019, we awarded this contract to TriStar Contracting at $514,000. During the startup of that project, or the move-in rather, is the mobilization, there was discovery of Edison, Southern California Edison, again, did not inform us of some improvements that they had previously made and were in the process of finishing out, which caused conflict to our design as approved. Unfortunately, working through some of that, we were unable to come to a negotiated change of cost. So we rejected the project and closed it down. We did rebid this, and as part of this, Downing Construction is the lowest responsible bidder. You'll see in the staff report packet, which I no longer have because my computer is acting up, but you'll see in this project that Downing is the lowest responsible bidder. And
yeah, you'll see in your packet in a memo from Terry to Danny the basic bids and an outline from TKE Engineering, so you can get an idea of how they compared.
Thank you, Art. In addition to that, there is a bid summary, and you'll see that the various items that they bid on. And so even though months later, or almost a year, a little more than a year later, we actually rebid this with the additional work, we were able to negotiate with the county not to be able to permanently pave over many of the areas. So the low bid for this project at $468,307 is lower than when we previously awarded this contract. We are asking the board for consideration to award contract to Downing Construction for the North Indian Canyon Drive Sewer Construction Project for the amount of $515,137.77, which includes contingency. That's all I have, unless there's questions.
Okay, thank you. Director Martin, do you have any questions? Director Grasha?
The point that I guess I would apologize for the people that had bid on this and put it through the process once before, but having done that, now I'm familiar with what you're doing over there and fully support it. And again, sorry they had to go through that for me to learn what's going on. It wasn't my fault, but thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you for saying that.
Well, thank you.
Okay, Director Sewell? Comments? Vice President Duncan?
Yeah, thanks for getting ahead of this, Danny. I remember up on Yucca Drive a few years ago when the city went in and paved, and I think we asked them to wait, but they wouldn't, and we came back in less than a year later and tore the whole thing up for new sewers. We got a lot of flack over that, so I'm glad you're able to coordinate with the county on this.
Thank you. Kudos to our staff here. They are creative, and I'm glad this worked out. It's unfortunate the way it did go down, as Director Grasha was talking about, but we're happy to see this number and still be under budget. So.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Okay, number 8, award of contract for the well fitting and site work for the new well 42 project and capital budget augmentation.
Yeah, this is a well that we've been discussing with you for quite some time. It is needed for servicing, the 1400. Well 28 has been placed on standby, so we don't have that. I mean, if we needed to, we could, but it requires costly wellhead treatment, and it's just time for us to move forward with this project. Danny, I'm in the spirit of not taking away your steam here. I'm going to let you elaborate on the project and tell the board how we've gone through this process.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. So, well 42 project is located just south of Pearson Boulevard, east of Little Morongo. It's near our existing wells 22 and 24. For those that go in and out and drive that area, it's vacant property. We did bring this to the board in various phases. We brought in an updated and an amendment to the CEQA process. So there's been a number of times we've talked about this project. We've talked about this project in property acquisition. And I don't need to go into that. What I want to do is just talk about where the project, and then the bigger item here that wasn't talked about here is the capital improvement budget augmentation. We currently have a original budget of 3.61 million established in 2010, and we're asking to be augmented of almost $1 million, so $980,000, rounded to $1 million. That's a big number. Earlier today, staff sent out an email, pardon my oversight, but forgot to include the bid summary of the bidders for this project. That was sent to the board members as an email and will be part of an amendment to Monday's posting. So with that, as Arden said, well 24 is our current 1400 pressure zone well. Well 28 is our backup well. Well 28 has concentrations of uranium greater than 20 picocuries per liter, and as a result, we've had to do uranium treatment. The cost, if we were to run that well as a primary well, would be anywhere from $600,000 to $750,000 in addition to our normal operating costs. So we resorted to it to be a backup well. You've all heard me bring to the board contracts to do rehabs for well 24. There was a big concern about having no 1400 zone. Our staff was very creative and moved water around, very tedious work, and had to be monitored around the clock. But we were able to get through that, but we still don't have redundancy. Well 28, our backup well, has had mechanical failure, so we no longer have that. So currently, the district put well 42, when it was designed in 2011, on the back burner because of the economy. We put it on the front burner as a high priority. And one of the greater items that this project has been awarded $920,000 in Proposition 84 round for implementation construction dollars. And the well itself is gone through a number of reasons why we're asking for $1 million. Just to go through some of those and highlight those, the original budget that I stated was 3.61 million. In 2010, we went through the design process, we went through CEQA, we went through everything to get the completion of the design, and we utilized about $440,000 of the budget over the last, I don't want to say the last 10 years, but over the last 10 years, that's where the budget remained. Some of the bigger things, the construction cost estimate from 2011, the design cost versus 2020 is a roughly 11% increase in cost of construction. So it went up about 10% just in the engineer's design estimate. The difference between the 2020 construction estimate that I mentioned is 11% higher than 2010, 2011. The lowest bidder here is actually 35%, almost 36% higher than the actual engineer's estimate. Construction contract for Lane Christensen that we're asking the board for consideration of award includes contingency of 3.84 or $3,843,868. That is the 10% contingency. The contingency, it's there if we need it. So even though we're asking for 4.6, that 4.6, that additional $1 million includes the contingency amount. We are likely not to touch the entire 4.6, but we have to have that money in the capital budget in order for us to have the cash flow if it's required. Continuing with what changed or what was considered, when we put this project back on the front burner, as you all know, it's been sitting there for 10 years. we went through a redesign of the plans and specifications, so to speak. We reviewed them. There's a cost of about $75,000 for that to happen. The intent of the redesign or the update was to bring the plans up to date with district standards, as well as current building codes, electrical codes, seismic codes due to the changes in the codes over the last decade, due to the district standard changes over the last decade, and reevaluation of the equipment, primarily the pump and the motor, the well pump and motor, to ensure that we were looking at the most efficient, is there any changes or applications that would better suit the district from 10 years ago? So many of those changes that were looked at and reviewed were implemented. Those that are familiar with well 37, it has a building around it. That is our new district standard. So as you can tell, the building itself has to go through, again, like the electrical, the building, and the seismic codes. So those are some of the reasons why we spent the cost of $75K to redesign, which is impacting the need to increase budget. Items that weren't required that were back when we designed it to what they are now is a change in floodplain permitting process. That now had to go through the city, which it wasn't an issue or requirement at the time for the district because of or due to changes in the floodplain permitting. That's what caused it. Changes to MPDS permitting. There was an increase of cost to the construction management and inspection cost that was estimated back in 2010. Labor compliance monitoring wasn't required then, although I don't want to say insignificant, only $20,000 is an actual cost that we have proposals for to complete. Well drilling, the technical support for the well drilling, the actual, when they drill the well before they outfit it, that cost has gone up. The property acquisition, as I mentioned earlier, was a contributing cost to this increase. The geotechnical support had gone up, and the sequel that I brought to the board several months ago, there was an update or amendment to that was required. So those are the factors that are leading to the request of augmenting the budget to $4.6 million. So this project is being asked to be awarded to Lane Christensen Company, the lowest responsive bidder, in the amount of $3,843,867.89, which includes the contingency, and augment the budget to $4.6 million. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, Vice President Duncan, do you have any questions today? No? Director Sewell? Director Grasha?
I just want to make the point that that was a great report, the best report you've given. Not that they're not all great, but this one seemed to smooth over all the issues that since I've been here in 2 years, I know that, you've talked about this has gone on for, well, over a decade, I guess. And it's great to know that I'll be able to vote for it in full confidence. Thanks.
Appreciate that, Director Gresham.
Director Martin, were you the last one? Yeah, Director Martin, do you have any? Oh, okay, thank you. I think I asked everybody. Dory, do we have any public online, by the way?
I believe just Ashley from DWA.
Okay, so we don't have anybody who wants to speak or anything. Okay, just thought I'd ask. Okay, thank you. Hi, Ashley, thanks for coming or participating or hanging out there. Anyway, okay, now we're on item number 9, district holiday schedule. Mr. General Manager.
All right, as you know, this year, which I was kind of surprised, and then I remembered it's leap year, which moved everything ahead. So now Christmas and New Year's are on Friday. We usually don't, we usually get no traffic at all the day before Christmas and New Year's. In this case, we usually get off a little bit early before those days. So I would recommend, I told the staff I would recommend that I would propose to you that we just close the offices down on the Thursday before the Friday for both Christmas and New Year's. Doesn't hurt us much. It's a nice thing to do for the employees. They've been stellar through this pandemic. We literally have had no threats so far, and knock on wood that we don't, or that we continue to not have threats. We're an essential business, and the staff has been just off the charts great in working with us. So I thought, well, this might be a good year to propose to you that we let them have the Thursday off before the Friday, and that's about as simple as it gets. That's all there is to it.
So what do you need a nod? I don't think we need to vote on this, do we?
You don't have to till, no, you probably don't, but you can probably give me a nod that it's okay.
Okay, Vice President Duncan, you have a question? You're on, there we
There
go.
we go. I'm waiting to get my mute off. Yeah, I'm all good with giving the employees either the Thursday before, or the Monday after, whatever time off, as long as we're not accumulating any late fees for our clients, customers. I'm sorry, I've got clients, but as long as we're not charging our customers any late fees during that time, or disconnects for non-payment, anything like that.
Yes. Oh, we won't be doing that.
Okay, and the same as New Year's, just roll that.
Right.
Through all the holidays. I think we do that anyway, don't we?
Yes, we don't do that during the holidays.
Okay, all right. Just
That's
want to make sure.
That's a good point, though. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, if we're closed, we can't ding somebody if we're closed.
Nope.
No. Oh, no, shutting somebody off at holidays is not something this board's ever thought
No,
about doing.
not done it. No, not cool.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
Okay, thanks. So anybody else have a question on 9? No. Okay, number 10, Mission Springs Water District Water Reclamation Facility. That's pretty easy to say now. It's getting down there.
Okay, Danny.
Thank you. I was waiting for my mute to come off. I missed the last 2 board meetings as Steve filled in for me last month. He gave an excellent report. I wanted to just touch on a couple of those items that he reported out to you last month. The 100% design, as he said, was received. Staff has been reviewing that. That has been concluded. There's been an internal meeting. Generally, about 90% of the comments were fully addressed and no major issues have been identified for the final design. What we're looking forward to do now is to set up a review workshop with AECOM, where those staff members, as part of the project and plan reviewers, will sit down and work towards 100% final plans and specifications. That's an exciting milestone for this agency. And I'm happy to report that what Steve reported on last month hasn't lost any momentum and has continued forward. The parcel map process that TKE is working on is nearing completion. A final parcel map, we expect that to be done over to the city for review this month. As you know, this report is covering last month, so I know we're in November, but this will be in front of the. It's expected to be in front of the city for approval in the month of November. Envirologic resources, our hydrogeologist is preparing the final monitoring wells report work plan. Steve spoke about that last month. That's a requirement of our approved waste discharge requirements. And it identifies 3 locations, as Steve pointed out and showed in exhibits last month, monitoring wells to upstream and downstream of our regional plant. And I should say, thank you for the new naming, Regional Water Reclamation Facility. I should have opened up with that. But in short, regional plants. That will be submitted to the regional board also in November for approval. We'll be bringing that back to the board after we bid the process out and for award of contract to start drilling and outfitting those monitoring wells. So that'll be something to look forward to as part of this project as a separate contract. Steve talked about a pre-qualification process. He carried on from something I talked about the month prior. And after speaking with AECOM, as Steve said, if it's beneficial to the district, it was the direction that we're going to move in. After speaking with AECOM, they recommended that it be part of the standard bidding process, not a standalone pre-qualification questionnaire, as they felt at this time there wouldn't be a major time savings and the cost associated with that would be something they couldn't support spending or proposing on. However, we are going to be working with them to put a pre-qualification questionnaire rather than the standalone process. It'll be part of the bid process itself as a document. That will help us immensely in the qualification process after we receive bids. And they being AECOM still feels that strongly that even though we don't do a pre-qualification standalone process, that we'll still be able to have still a 6-week window for bidding. So everything's still positive, working in that direction. Some of the pre-qual questionnaires are talking about contractors' bonding capacity. Projects of this sort normally have contractors that have $100 million bonding capacity, experience, and things of that nature. So the responses to that required pre-qualification questionnaire will help us streamline the award process and bid qualification process. So I was really hoping to see something like that materialize and shave off some time, but that's where that landed. The technical support during bidding or to answer the type of RFR request for information is we're anticipating receiving that. We still have not received that as of this meeting. It'll be a proposal separate from the current design to provide those services as needed. That's something that I've asked Steve to move forward last month that he reported on. And we are continuing to monitor the progress of the SRF grant application. So last month, Steve reported that he had several emails and phone calls out with no luck. And I am happy to say that although this happened in November, I'm going to report about it now. We did receive some good information from the project manager that the DAC confirmation or DAC status has been confirmed for the district. We honestly didn't feel there would be any challenges or concerns there. It's being sent to upper management for determination and total grant funding amounts, which is a huge milestone in that process. They couldn't commit. They said, yes, you qualify for grant. There's 2 pots of money. It may be in the $8 million or north of $8 million in grants. It may be all of one grant pot and part of another, or a combination of the both. They kind of left that hanging for us, but it was good information for Art and I to receive. And there has been further dialogue that if they could, or if we would be able to also not only install sewers in the area M2, the sewer to septic, septic to sewer area, but if we were able to also award a contract for the abatement of the septic tanks on site, that the State Water Board would and SRF folks would contemplate giving us more grant money. That's all still concept. We're working through that, but a lot of good information back this last 2 weeks from the State Board. I'll be bringing more information back next month. And that concludes the regional plant update. As far as the water, the conveyance line, we're talking amongst staff that that's shortly to come off a hold. As Steve reported, we're working on with 2 different agencies, private property owners along with the city, to look at a roadway right-of-way, or possibly the CVCC for consideration of an easement through that area. And those are starting to materialize. We have a couple of meetings set up here in the coming weeks, so I'll be able to bring more to the board next month on that. But again, as stated in the past, when we had a workshop on this, the timing of this project, the design completion, the construction timing is far less and fits within the construction period of the regional plant. So there's no concern about not having that available. The key information from that conveyance line, such as the elevation of the pipeline, working with the AECOM for the elevation of the invert of the pump station, all those are all been worked out. Just some of these other formalities are still being looked into. So that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Danny. Ivan or Director Sewell, do you have any questions or comments? Director Martin? Vice President Duncan? Director Grasha?
I can't see him anymore.
I see, okay, he's, there he is, I think. Do you have
So-
any questions on the regional plant?
No questions,
Okay,
thanks.
okay, thank you. Next item is the consent agenda. There's items number 11, approval of the minutes. Item number 12, registrar of demands. Any of the board members like to pull any one of those for discussion? Pull it off the consent agenda. Seeing none, we don't have any public, so I'm asking the public, anybody there? Ashley, would you like to pull it? Anyway.
No, thank you.
I don't think she does. Okay, thanks. Okay, then we'll go on and we'll vote on the consent agenda on Monday. Item number 13, monthly reports. Let's see, what do we got here? Who goes? Oh, we don't have it. That's not the one where people go. Okay, any questions? Director Grasha, do you have any questions on this monthly reports? Or comments?
No questions.
Okay,
I would like to say that it looks like a sharper report than something, as well as the agenda itself. It's nice to be able to click on the, I don't know that, I noticed some changes here. I just want to say I'm okay with them and they look great. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Monthly reports does include these reports. I was just looking for my agenda here. I got to have my agenda on this iPad. So it is item 15. No. Okay, no monthly. We're on monthly reports, right? Okay, so not that. Anybody else? Director Sewell, have any comments on that? Vice President Duncan? Director Martin? Okay, we'll go to number 14, Public Relations Report.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board. You'll also notice some changes with the Public Affairs Report. It is in the General Manager's Report. So if you could flip through to page, I believe in the bottom right corner, 133, if you'd like to follow along. Quick, very short, brief report. We have an upcoming event on November 18, Wednesday. It's from 1:30 to 5. We are the event sponsor in combination with local agencies and state agencies for a free flu shot and PPE distribution event. You may have seen this already on Facebook. Next door, we're trying to really spread the word. There will be 2 lines for cars. There will be one line if you do not want the flu shot, so a bag pickup only, and another line where you can get your flu shot and pick up a bag. The only thing we ask, whichever option you would like to do, to go ahead and register online so that we could have a car count. And also if there are multiple people in your vehicle coming to get a shot, we kind of know already how many to expect. So the PPE giveaways include 1 box of 50 face masks. As you'll see, the event flyer is included as well. 1 box of 50 face masks, 1 hand sanitizer, cloth masks, and we're going to be providing a few water bottles, as well as the bag is branded with our logo as well as the Help to Others logo. So we are very excited to have partnered with and collaborate regionally with these agencies to bring a PPE event to Desert Hot Springs. So that's happening next Wednesday. If you would like to share it on your respective social medias, that would be most appreciated, to get the word out to as many people here in the community. Next, on outreach, our bill message does remain the same, at least for the month of November, just reminding individuals with the time change about their irrigation timer if they haven't changed that as of yet. As you also see as part of the report, we are going to have Alpha Media's monthly report for October, CV Water Council's report, as well as our own digital advertising reports, which does include ads that we ran for the month of October for both Google and Facebook, including some website analytics. And then what you'll see throughout the GM report, we did have a recent photo shoot around the district for our website. So these are some of the images throughout the general manager's report, are some of the new shots that we took out and about in the district. So we're very excited for that. And then as you'll see on the last page on the backside is just our water bottle contributions from July 1st to November 5th. We are trying to provide water mainly to, as some schools re-enter or have special education students have certain hubs, things of that nature. We provided water for the voting assistance center when we were a ballot for election day. So just very, I guess, short report, very detailed, I'd like to think, but open to any questions if you have any.
Yes, it's very detailed, yes. Okay, yes, Vice President Duncan.
Looks like the flyer that you have here.
Yes, sir.
It does say 1:30 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
On page 133, it says 1 to 5.
Yes, it's 1:30 to 5. At the time that the report was due, we hadn't finalized a start time. So
okay, right.
The flyer is correct for a 1:30 start time.
I don't know if it was me or if it was what.
No.
So, okay, thank you.
It's I saw it when I turned over to it as well.
She was hoping you wouldn't, Randy.
Thank you, Vice President Duncan.
Real quick, the cost is really not the issue, but what is this costing us?
In terms of a sponsorship?
Yes. Are we contributing to the purchase of the face masks and the rubber gloves and all that kind of good stuff?
We are contributing to the purchase of the bags, and we'll be assembling the bags. We purchased 500 bags.
Okay.
This event we sponsored with the United Way, about $1,000 of community sponsorship.
Well, that's not bad. Okay. All right.
And then the masks and everything, they're coming through Building Bridges for Special Needs and also the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. So the majority of the PPE is coming from them, and then Desert Recreation Districts providing the hand sanitizers.
Oh, great. All right. Thank you.
So this is just to get a normal flu shot, correct? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. Individuals of age 6 and up can get a flu shot. And then if you are over the age of 65, you do have that higher dose flu shot that's available. When you go online, it'll ask you some of those details.
Who's giving the flu shots?
Pharmacists from Walgreens.
Okay, all right, from Walgreens. Okay,
yes,
good.
They are licensed individuals. That's correct.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Director Sewell, do you have any questions? Comments? No. Director Martin, I think I asked you. Did I ask you already, Director Martin? Director Gracia?
Just thank you very much on the excellent report. The flu shot thing you've got going on is going to be a great opportunity for the district, and I'm glad you were able to get that up here for our ratepayers. Good news all the way around. Thank you.
Are you guys helping at all in that day?
Yes.
You are, okay.
Yes, it will be a drive-through, so we're hoping it's going to be a quick a quick event. That's why even if you're coming just to pick up a bag, we want you to register online and select your time. We expect almost every agency that you see listed under the sponsorship is probably sending 1 or 2 individuals, so that way it'll be a quick process. Just pop open your trunk, we'll place the bag in there. We will have N95 masks for volunteers and gloves, just to ensure as well that all those participating are safe as well.
Great. Okay. Okay, so now we're on item number 15, director's reports. Where's that at? Who has a report? Who would like to give a report today? Does anybody have any reports? I didn't look here. Where'd it go? I can't find it. Who has a report? Anybody? Okay, Director Gracia. Oh,
I both of us. Oh, I'm on.
sorry. Okay, I was too busy looking. Okay, Director Gracia, go ahead. You have a report? Okay, go ahead.
Just some interesting things. I watched the meeting for
These are for the things that you went to, not your comments at the end.
This was for a meeting I attended at
Okay, sorry. Okay, I thought you. Okay, I didn't hear
Coachella
that.
Valley Water District.
Got it.
That occurred a couple of days ago. They made a really another leap forward on water importation. There's an interesting question that lingers on this subject. The cost share for CVWD in the Delta project is about 3.5% for their district for the entire state project, which is nearly $700 million over 40 years. They authorized a $4.5 million payment this week for this year's participation in the, I'm going to call it the replanning. It sounded like they're having to redo part of when the Twin Tunnels plan has changed to the one tunnel plan, if you will. So they're going back to work to work on that, and that for this year is $4.5 million. An important step forward. That over a period of 40 years will add about $20 a month to each one of their ratepayers' bills for a total of about 600 million and change. So, maybe 50 million, 650 to $680 million over the 40 years. So there's a real commitment there to keep us going. Now, the lingering question that I have that I would like somebody to ask is that going to ensure the importation of Delta water, or are we going to have some bait and switch thing down the road that, well, we've already got this river aqueduct coming through, so we're just going to do another exchange like we've been doing for so many years? That's the only lingering question that I have, and someday I'd like to get that answered. And maybe somebody from our staff could kind of poke around and find out if that's an absolute, that it'll be Delta water and not river water once their ratepayers are committed to it. And I don't know what our GSA is doing on that subject, but I know they've made some commitments of similar nature with the sites project. I don't know of all of the other stuff going on, but it's fascinating movement, and it's great to see. So thank you to them, and thank you to you for listening to my report on that subject.
Okay, thank you. Director Martin, you have quite a few. Do you want to do it today or?
Monday.
Monday, okay. Vice President Duncan, how about you?
Monday, please.
Okay. Other than that, there's nothing else on.
Director Sewell has an event.
Is there? Is he on here? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, okay, okay, I see. Yeah, it's the state of the city. Okay, Director Sewell?
Yeah, I just have the one. The October 27th attended Desert Hot Springs State of the City. It was hosted by the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce. I was happy to see they were still able to have one, even though it was virtual. Mayor Mattis spoke, and the city's still experiencing growth. New homes being built. He teased about some new possible businesses coming to town. So overall, the city seems like they're in a good spot, even with the pandemic. The chamber also gave out a handful of awards to businesses, and one of the awards was This is Desert Hot Springs Award, which was actually given to MSWD. So congratulations to our team, and overall good event.
Yeah, it was nice to see they got to at least have it. Okay, well then everybody else is then on Monday. So we will go to General Manager's report.
All right. I have just a couple things that I want to add to this. I've had to make a decision this week while Danny and I were in our meeting, which lasted pretty much all day on Tuesday. On Monday, the 9th, the wastewater staff received a call about a sewer block or a backup at 66-271 Buena Vista. The staff collection staff determined that the blockage in our collection system was causing the backup, and we used our jet truck to clear the blockage. The crew found root balls and pieces of clay pipe along with other debris. After clearing the blockage, staff sent our CCTV camera out for observation and discovered a 15-foot section of the pipe was damaged and missing large sections of pipe, causing the rags and debris and et cetera to build up to block the flow. Due to the degree of damage, we quickly contacted 2 contractors and got informal bids on an emergency repair. TriStar contractors will be on site this Friday, so you know that, to make repairs, which include approximately 15 feet of VCP, vitrified clay pipe, 2 wide lateral connections, and the cost of this is going to be about $22,000, but we need to get this done before it causes any more damage. Sewers can cause quite a bit of damage. So I wanted to let you know that I moved through in my emergency authorization to get that project done. So you'll be seeing that on your agenda at some time in the future. Well 26, although this is basically this morning, I found out that the water production staff, during a routine site visit to well 26, which isn't a major well, but it's major up there, we noticed that it's making a loud noise that wasn't, of course, normal. We believe that there may be an issue with the damaged shaft and bearings. Well 26 was shut down, and Lane Christensen was contacted to come out and assess the problem as an emergency. Well 26 is locked out and tagged until we get a clear understanding of what the problem is. So we're working on that. 26A is currently operating and providing water to that system. So once we have more information, we'll let you know. Okay, and that's all I really have to add to my report.
Okay, thank you. District Council's comments?
Yes, we will have a closed session today, and it's going to be item number 18, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. That's one case number RIC 2003782, and that's George Padilla and Sharon Marino versus Mission Springs Water District. And then on Monday, we'll be meeting in closed session on item 17.
Okay, thank you. So, Dory, we get to do our thing as far as trying to get us into a room all by ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The board met in closed session on item number 18, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. One case was discussed. That's case number RIC 2003782, George Padilla and Sharon Marino versus Mission Springs Water District. There was no reportable action taken in closed session, and that concludes the report out from closed session.
John, you're sideways. You're on camera.
Sorry about that. Did you get that, Dory?
I did. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for a good meeting. We'll see you all on Monday. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Oh, meeting adjourned. Forgot to say that part.